Tandem Nomads, episode 54. Hello, Nomad Nation. Welcome to Tandem Nomads, the weekly podcast show for expat partners where you can find great inspiration and tips to build your portable career and thrive in your global nomadic life. I am your host, Amel Deregi. During the summer, I will share with you the podcast's best of series, which are extracts from the previous episodes of the first season. Last week was Gentleman's Week, where I interviewed male expat partners. Additionally to sharing their experience, adjusting their careers to their spouses, many of them also shared some great inspiration on how to be happy in a relationship. So this week we continue along this topic with the Nomad Couples Week. We discuss tips and insights on how to keep a healthy relationship while moving from a country to another. This first extract is from the episode 11 with Jody Ballard. Jody is an expat partner who managed to build an inspiring portable career as a therapist, author, speaker, and founder of the Women Heritage Walk.
My husband loves to say that he has built my resume very nicely. Because he not forces me. I go with pleasure in order to be with him. Because of our nomadic lifestyle, it requires me to stop a job and then start another one in the new place. We've been married 34 years. We both take a lot of time, effort, and energy to support each other's projects and the things that are important to us. And so we really are quite a team. And I think we've had to become more of a stronger support network for each other because we lose and gain. I don't ever say I lose friends, but you move away from your support network and you have to sort of start over, and the only person there is your spouse.
Exactly.
So I think particularly living expat, that primary relationship has got to be strong. And the stronger it is, the easier it is for people to move and to find success where they are. If there's trouble, because one of the things that I do is help expats with relationships, and people will say, "Oh, I did the move, thinking that it would improve the relationship." And I always say, no matter where you go, there you are. If your kids have trouble, if you have trouble in your relationship, you can move yourself to anywhere and you're still going to have you're going to bring those problems with you. That's
very true.
So maintaining that relationship, that, open, respectful relationship is really crucial in my view. It's all those little things that happen during a move that cause a great deal of distress because you're out of your comfort zone. So you become a little more testy, you bite a little more quickly at the other person. And my husband always, at a certain point, he said, I really don't like you when we're moving. And I said, well, that's good because I don't like you very much either during this time. And he said, let's agree that we'll never use the D word, the divorce word, 2 months before we move and 2 months after we get to the new place. And of course, I laughed because humor is really the best thing that you can use during these times. But he was so right. He was just spot on because we became not different people, but we were so stressed and everything, there was crisis after crisis. And, it's all those little things that happen during a move that cause a great deal of distress because you're out of your comfort zone.
In the full version of this episode, Jody tells us more about her career journey while traveling the world. She shares some really inspiring insights and tells us about how she created the Women Heritage Walk, which is a fascinating annual project where women cross the desert in the United Arab Emirates from Al Ain to Abu Dhabi, which is approximately 90 miles in the dunes and the sand. So check this episode on tandemnomads.com/11, number 1 and 1. We will now hear Helen Reiter, who shares her experience with us. This episode, number 35, is quite unique. not only because Helen and Manfred are great friends, but also because it is the only interview I did with both partners at the same time. In fact, they both alternatively gave up their jobs to follow the other. We actually had the chance to hear her husband's experience in last week's episode, so you can check it out. And Helen is now the HR manager at the Shanghai American School. She shared her experience here and her perspective of a healthy relationship when living this nomadic lifestyle.
I think, looking back, as tough as it has been, we still think, it was so good that we had each other. The reality is so much better to communicate upfront what you're able to deal with or you're not able to deal with. Mm-hmm. Rather than then having to clean up an aftermath. The key to every relationship is communication. I think that my advice is be patient with each other and communicate your non-negotiables. I mean, I mentioned it before when I wasn't happy not being able to work in South Africa. I learned my lesson. When we moved to China, it was, I'm happy and I'm very keen to move, but I will move once I have a job. And, if it would have taken me 6 months, Manfred would have gone ahead and we would have managed. Trust in your partner. I think it's very important, or at least for us as a couple, it's important that we keep that independency at times so that, we go out and that it was so easy to make friends outside of your relationship. Meet other people and bring that rich experience back into our relationship.
Helen and Manfred have a fascinating story and great tips to share on episode 35, so check it out on tandemnomads.com/35, number 3 and 5. Elpida Tsovili is an expat partner and an expat coach that I interviewed on episode 39, and I have to say that I really liked the tips she shared here to express certain frustrations that expat partners often experience when they move abroad, and she also shares how to preserve that connection in the couple.
We were in a service department, and I remember we arrived, and basically it was like, okay, so this is the apartment, here's my assistant's phone number, and I have to go away for 2 days. So we've learned with every move as well, how to do these things better and support each other more. For us, it was a lot of talking and discussing who does what, and that's why I said we have been growing in a sense that we both learned from these things, and now we know whenever we're moving, we both need to be there, and we both need to help each other throughout this phase. Of course, on the other side, your partner also needs to receive what you're saying, and you need to figure it out together, actually. So I would say communication was the most important thing in that sense. Usually in those situations, I've always tried to find a moment, like not in the moment of the heat and when it's stressful, but usually try and discuss it later on at some other time, like when you go out for dinner or something, and you're more calm about it, and then be able to talk about it. That's typically something. One important thing is also, because sometimes you get carried away with all these transitions and moves and life that's quite demanding in these cases, is we try to set aside time where we say, okay, we'll go and have dinner at least once a week together, and where we have time that it's just us, actually. So you underestimate this because you think, oh yeah, we spend the weekends together and we see each other usually in the evenings as well. But very often it's time where you're either with other people or you have to discuss things that you need to do, etc. So it's always a good thing to set aside time just for you as a couple as well. It's nice to just be together and reconnect somehow. I think that's important to plan time for that as well.
Elpida shares many more great tips in the full version of this episode. It was particularly interesting to hear about her career journey as she describes so clearly the challenges that we know many expat partners face when they are on a traditional job search when they move from a country to another. So you can listen to this episode on tandemnomads.com/3939. And here is my dear friend Katja from the episode 12. Katja is an expert partner and communications controlling consultant. She's also now launching a really new exciting startup in the collaborative space. So I've always been admirative towards Katja, not only for being a true feminist and a women's right defender, but also for making sure to apply her beliefs in her own life. And you will see here how.
There is an unwritten dogma: never touch the man's job, because he can't limit his job. Whatever he does, he can't. And women always think that they are able to, no matter what they do. We do the same things. We are lawyers and doctors and whatever, but it's always the woman who needs to limit the job for the family. Mm-hmm. And this is what we discussed very often, and now we really share it. So this was one solution. He doesn't take it for granted that I'm the one who cares for that. So we discuss who's in charge of that. And we also share the afternoons with the kids. So he has 2 afternoons, I have 2 afternoons. And it feels so good. You can't imagine. This is really partnership. Mm-hmm. This is really sharing things. I'm so proud of him and of myself that we did it, and that I fought so hard for it. We really struggled. And in the beginning, he also said, I can't limit my job. And I said, well, you don't need it, but we can arrange we can make arrangement around the 40 hours you have to work, or even more. And sometimes he works in the evenings, or you can work while the kids are there because they play with each other. So it's a matter of how you organize it. And that is possible. And I absolutely can recommend that to every partner, to really carefully rethink if it is not possible that the partner who goes to the office and who is the real expert, I'm just the sort of follower, the real expert, that he's also able to bring some extra time for the family work and for the homework. I mean, it's a matter of fairness, of partnership, and he really agreed to that. The thing is, has becoming partner here, so it really worked out for him. It was a career step for him, although he shared the family work with me. It's not true. It's just not true that the jobs of our husbands are not to be touched because it's not possible. That's not true.
This conversation came up when Katja and I were discussing the pros and the cons of working from home, which was the topic of this episode number 12. So, in fact, a lot of portable careers involve working from home, and we have to be very careful to set strict rules to not get distracted with all the domestic and family tasks that we may have as an expat partner. So, if you are also working from home, you might enjoy some of the great tips that Katja shares here on tandemnomads.com/12, number 1 and 2. After these tips on building a healthy relationship in the tandem, next week we will continue with insights on building the positive mindset that allows a healthy lifestyle in constant transition and change. I really can't wait to meet you in the next episode, so stay tuned to turn the challenges of relocation into great opportunities for you and your world.